Hi, this is David, and the first thing I want you to do for today's word is make sure that you can change the flow of breath going to your fingers. So I'm taking one big breath in, and then I'm blowing out. First, I can feel it on my hand coming out of my mouth. I can feel on my right hand coming out of my mouth. And then I can change the flow of air so that I feel the air going onto my left hand because it's going through the nose. So if I can change the flow of air from my mouth to my nose, that means I can make the French R, because I know how to close down the soft palate, how to push the soft palate down against the back of the tongue. All right, so the next thing we need to do is, don't think about the E yet. Let's just pronounce the end of the word. Ric, ric. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing down with my soft palate on the back of my tongue. Ric, ric, ric. Make sure you're doing E and not ick. So it's not ric, it's ric. You hear the difference. Ric, 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 ric. We need a nice E sound. Now we're going to place the E with the accent in front. So we say Éric, Éric, Éric. What I should have done, I'll back up. What I should have done is keep those two separate so that you don't make the mistake that some people make. So do this. Éric. E. Think about the soft palate now and make the ric. Éric, Éric, Éric. There's little variations of the sound that you can make depending on how hard you push the soft palate down. Éric, Éric, Éric. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to, and here's why I'm breaking the E and the Éric, is we don't want to think that the ER is one sound, because like in English we put those together, and ER is an air sound. So we want to remember that when we're speaking French, we're keeping those separate. So what we do is when we're working on a new word, we think of the R as being the beginning of a syllable. So, Éric, 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 Éric. We can speed it up, but we still keep the E nice and pure, and we push the soft palate down for ric. Okay, don't make the mistake of trying to make a scratching sound here. If the scratching sound comes by itself as a byproduct of you pushing the soft palate down, that's fine. But don't try to make a scratching sound. If you try to make a scratching sound, what happens is you get a Éric, Éric. It's not the right movement. That attempt to make a scratching sound will take your tongue out of position. Next, I'm going to put a word up on the screen, and I'd like you to try to say it. I'm going to give you a second, or you can stop the video here for a second. All right, so that's challenging. The way to do it is to break the word up correctly, and to break the words up correctly. So what we want to think of is that R at the end of bonjour as being the beginning of a new syllable. So it's actually Réduire, réduire. Can you push your soft palate down and say réduire, 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 réduire. All right, now we need to add the bonjour in front. So what we're going to do is, but we're going to keep the U separate from the R, because we don't want to make the mistake of thinking that we're in an English speaking situation and that they're going to combine, to blend, to make one or sound. They don't. It's ou, re. So bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric. So when we put them together, we still think of the R as it being Eric. Bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric. Now we can say it as if Eric were right in front of us. Bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric, bonjour Eric, comment vas-tu? All right? How about bonsoir? Bonsoir Eric, bonsoir Eric, bonsoir Eric. All right, so The last little thing, and I noticed this because I asked my daughter, who grew up here in France, to send me recordings of her saying it so that I could listen and see if I could find any other little thing to help you with, is I noticed that when she says Éric, it's really a nice eek at the end and not an ick. So I wanted to make sure that you think about eek, Éric. It's Éric, not Éric. You can hear the difference a little bit. Rick, 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 Rick. You need a nice eek. That's something that a tutor or a native speaker, if you have a friend who's a native speaker, they can tell you, yeah, you're keeping a nice eek, because we tend to get a little sloppy as English speakers. It's a little bit of a hard thing for us to do, to keep some of these sounds nice and pure, so we don't notice that we're making the mistake of getting a little bit loose and lazy with them. Now, the thing that you can work on your own without a native speaker is whether or not you're saying the R in a way that doesn't trip you up, because it's much more important that you can just get the words out. That's more important than you actually sounding perfectly French. That's not that important. What's important is that you can actually get the words out, and this doesn't make you dread seeing Éric, because it used to happen to me. My son and Eric's son were on the same handball team, and so when I would drop my son off or go to a game, I knew I was going to see him, and I could never say his name. So now I could probably say his name and be comfortable with it, because I think about pushing the soft palate down, and that's all I think about. Now, you need to have the back of your tongue high when you push the soft palate down. So it's kind of like if I told you that all you need to do is push the soft palate down, that would not be true. You need to already have the reflex or the habit of keeping that back of your tongue high. So you need to already have felt what it feels like, but then when you're speaking, you just think about soft palate down. That's when you're practicing speaking. So as I mentioned, getting back to the subject of things that you can do on your own without needing to find a private tutor, I'm going to put some sentences down in the comments. These are things you can practice, and the reason you know without a tutor telling you, the reason you know that you're getting it right, is either you can get the words out or you can't. All right, so and you can practice that on your own, and on your own you can search for the movements that help you produce these words without tripping over your tongue. So I'll put maybe 5 or 6 sentences in the comments. These are words with R's in them, words that you can try. And as you're practicing them, what I would suggest is that what I do to help me is I concentrate on pushing the soft palate down, push the soft palate down, and then it seems to work for me. All right, I can't think of anything else to tell you. Have a good day.